So yesterday was the Shadowverse Open 2025 Kickoff Preliminary, the very first official Shadowverse Worlds Beyond tournament, and to be blunt, I think this was the worst tournament experience I ever remember. But this was not because of the game. Let me explain. So here it was planned on the website. So this tournament would have 3 phases. Preliminaries, where you have to play 10 games of best of 1, 2 decks, the new format, and you have to go 8 wins and 2 losses or better to advance to the next stage. Then you would have the playoff on the next week, where only the 8 best players would go to the finals, and after that there would be the top 8 with pretty good cash prize, and most importantly for the champion, a direct invite to the World Championship. So for preliminaries, we had one at 5 p.m. UTC, that would be 7 p.m. Europe time, so better time for people in Europe or America's East Coast. And then the second one at 2 a.m., and then the second one at 2 a.m. UTC, so one that's better for a player in the Southeast Asia and West Coast. So originally, each tournament had a cap of 512 players, but it got filled so fast, like a few hours after the registration opened, that they actually changed the cap to 1,024 players. And this was huge. This was the biggest tournament we would ever have in the Western scene. On Shadowverse 1, we would have like 200 to 300 players per tournament, and it was decreasing as the game went on. So this was just a good way to have a lot of newcomers come into the game and like enjoy the competitive Shadowverse. As you can see on the start.gg page, there were 1,411 players that tried to register. So huge people. And what they did for the players that couldn't make it in is to create a waitlist that you can see here. And the idea is that if people that registered in the original 1,000 didn't check in, they would pick players in the waitlist from the order that they registered to fill the tournament and try to reach the cap. But now let's talk about how the tournament actually went. So the day of kickoff 1, 6 p.m. 30, check-in was done and we were finalizing the brackets. Okay, all good. A few minutes later, they added players from the waitlist to the main tournament. Alright. But there was an error, and the people that went from the waitlist to the main tournament were actually the people that checked in ASAP in the waitlist, rather than the people that registered to the tournament faster. So in the support channels, there were a lot of complaints about the people that didn't make it in. So 7 p.m, the tournament is about to start, and we have now all players, so we are waiting to just start playing our games. But 20 minutes later, still finalizing the brackets, removing duplicate names, okay. 20 minutes later, without any news, still finalizing ETA in 20 minutes. And at this moment, like, people were kind of starting to get impatient. And they were facing more problems in internal, but they didn't really communicate it to us. And so, like, 1 hour later, not like 20 minutes later, like 1 hour later, this is like 2 hours before the Super Tournament starts, we are still adding people to the waitlist. And at this moment, like, a lot of people started to drop the tournament because they realized, like, it doesn't start. It's just not happening. So I think that admins had to keep up with, at the same time, like, adding people from the waitlist and people dropping. And the more you wait, the more both of them increase. So more announcements, tournament still doesn't start. And finally, like 2 hours and 20 minutes after, matches can start. But this was open list, so we are supposed to be able to see the open deck list. We're gonna do that in the in-game client. So the decklist arrived at like 10 minutes after, so a lot of games like didn't really start because you wouldn't like start the game and just not know your open decklist when you're supposed to. And then another problem came up is that some people that were DQ, so disqualified, were still in the tournament, and so a lot of people still face people that are DQ'd. So kind of getting a free win like that. So it kind of affects the integrity of the tournament in my opinion. Then again, the format is supposed to be best of 1. So like a game in Shadowverse is supposed to last between 5 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes in control mirror match, which can happen in this format. So yeah, okay, 30 minutes. Between round 1 at 9 p.m, 20 minutes, and round 2, there was 1.5 hours with no explanation. So we can meme as much as we want in the chat, but it starts to get like very pressuring for people. Be like, oh yeah, I have to be ready for next round, but I don't know what's going to happen. And so round 3 kind of repeats the same scenario with like, once again, like 1 hour taking to make the round. And finally, we get like some actual communication from the admins. To be honest, at this point, I drop. Because it was 1 a.m, the tournament was supposed to be already over for a long time. There was going to be the kickoff 2 that was taking like place right after, and there was no way to see it finished. And for the people that actually went all the way to the end, it finished at 8 a.m. Or maybe 7 a.m. for people that were fast enough. So yeah, in the big post, they give us the reasons for what happened. So basically, like some mess ups during the transfer of waitlists, confusions over the brackets, match phase needed to be reset, the people that couldn't be DQ'd, a lot of things that I had to do manually, and some errors with the StartGG server that didn't like keep up with all the manipulations, all of the requests. I don't know the details, but to be honest, I think that most people didn't really care. They just saw like they registered to a tournament and no games was played. And whenever you play a game, like maybe you can be over in 5 minutes, but then you wait for 1 hour without any reason given. So I do think it was like an horrible day for the admins too. They were probably understaffed. Probably like didn't really know how to manage with the new StartGG before we used Battlefy. But still, like, this was not good. I think a lot of newcomers, they don't take all of this into account. They're just going to never come again, and that's really sad. So at least people were kind of entertaining. There were a lot of memes. Hey, that's me. But yeah, like just no way to kind of entertain us between the rounds and no real communication or all of that. So yeah, you have this compilation made on Reddit, but that was just not cool, not fun. So I will quickly talk about my own run. Just not show all the old games, but just the turning points. I basically went 1-2, with one of them being 1 DQ. And after the round 3 fiasco, I just gave up and went to sleep. They did announce that the second preliminary was going to be moved. So I do still hope that it's at friendly Europe time. Give up some fairness, but yeah, anyway. So for the games, I did take some damage in the early game, and we both established Val's ambush. And there, I think this was the moment where I didn't really know where to go. I don't want to just develop a Geno. So I went for a pretty passive play, going Prim and the ward. And just thinking, yeah, we just connect like maybe Yoyus into Albert and we can win like that. Yoyus is going to be dealing the last 2 damage. But like in retrospect, it was just really too weak because look at what they do. They can just afford to play a Samurai that they got from Prim earlier, from Rose, sorry. And they deal up the Odin and just Evo face. And now I'm just in range of Albert and I can just Yoyus because else they do have the 6 damage on the board to finish me off. So I do regret this. I think on the previous turn, if I went Gildaya pre-Evo, he wouldn't be able to just YOLO Odin. Or if he went for YOLO Odin, I could have just established the Yoyus and be fine. And then queue into Albert and we're good. I was kind of scared that it was still going to be like a long game, but I guess I should have guessed from the Vats ambush that I needed to go for something else. And there you see it just has the Albert, so none of that does matter. I couldn't make any wards also, so yeah, that was it for game 1. And for game 2, I'm in this situation against Aggro Abyss, which is like pretty fucked, already 10 HP. And I do go for a curve play, but if I don't have Odin, maybe there's still a chance. So I still establish a board, but the misplay comes here. I do trade the Aggravy, but I don't know why I just trade the bat. I was just tired or tilted, I didn't think straight. Because I was like, oh yeah, no way that he has the more bats generators, and he does have it. And so he goes on to establish some extra damage. He can Super Evo, get over the ward, and get some damage face. And I don't have any lethal because there are 20. And like, and I cannot just YOLO Odin, so I just go for more wards and trade everything, basically. Trying to hope that the ward is enough. If I have Odin, I'm dead anyway, so... But maybe it can matter like on some of our smaller storms. But what they have is like exact combination of something that kills me. And if he didn't get the 2 damage from the bats by their left team, I could have survived that hit and just Albert into a win, maybe. So I don't want to be only complaining. Surely this tournament was a terrible time for everyone, even the people that qualified. These are kinda happy, but they still had a rough time of a 12-hour tournament. But let's list a few things that we can do to improve the next ones. So number 1, better communication. We are left with 1 hour with no communications with the admins, and that just left everyone like kinda wanted to drop the tournament. So number 2, maybe use something else and start GG. I know that you had probably time to just test it and accommodate to it, but if the problems were the servers and the request like not going through, maybe that's not something you can use for big scale tournaments. I know it is used for Smash Ultimate, I know it works well for that. I don't know why this time for something online it didn't go well, but I know that in 2017 we used Challenge, in 2018 and onwards we used Battlefy. I think it's not a problem to keep on using Battlefy. Even if Abyss is still split, we still have like Luna and Arius. I think it's still usable like in that way, we just don't have the perfect stats. But Battlefy, it still did its job. Number 3, faster decisions. When you see a lot of people that are quitting because of bad decision with the waitlist, maybe you could have just started the tournament anyway. Like at some point, most people were saying like, just start it already, just start the tournament. Like, so yes, it is not going to be fair to the people in the waitlist, but if you keep on, it's not going to be fair to everyone that has to work, that has to sleep, and yeah, that's kind of have to prolong their life outside of Shadowverse. Number 4, really, I think it would be great to return the splits between regions. Like people from both regions, from Europe and America and Asia, were able to register into both tournaments, both kickoff, with the only restriction being that if you qualified for kickoff 1, you don't have the right to play in kickoff 2. But I think that most competitive players just register for both anyway, just in case they want to play in it. I'm a culprit of that myself. But then people just don't wake up in the middle of the night and it leads to a lot of drops. So yeah, I think that using the usual region restriction that we had before would have like made the number of players in each one smaller and like a lot more manageable. And number 5, this is more in the end of side games than of Elephant, the organizer for the SEO. But what if we use the weekend lobby tournament system that we have and extend it to have like a lot of players, like 500, 200? I think that even for the Japanese tournament that are incoming, like Rage or the big Shadowverse Online, they could use this and just make it a lot easier to manage. We do have the bracket seedings that are already in place. You would have like directly the players that did check in from the game, and that would just remove a lot of hassle and a lot of potential problems. The only thing would be like, if there is a crash on the server, it would be like inside the game and maybe a bit more difficult to repair. But I think that's definitely like an option that some esports game went with, and I don't get why we don't get it right now in Shadowverse Wars Beyond, especially after the 1 year delay. So yeah, that was the whole story of the first Shadowverse Wars Beyond tournament and how it went. So now I am talking to you. If you played in that tournament, please comment your experience on what happened for you. I think that if this video has enough reach and reaches side games, and they just have a lot of testimonies of what went wrong and what happened for them, they will acknowledge that. They can see how the bad tournament experience can affect the number of players that are coming and then their sales in the Western scene. So they will have to react to that. And by reaction, I mean like probably allocate more resources to the team or like split the regions again or take like some other decisions. But really anything to make the experience better and not have like all the newcomers like come in, have the worst tournament possible with 2 hours of waiting to get a match, play 5 minutes and wait 1 more hour, and then just quitting, dropping, and play and be like, if all tournaments are like that, I'm just not playing again. And it's a bit sad because this will have nothing to do with the game itself. We can talk about the game after that, if it has like problems or like balance designs, but for now, just the experience itself. So yeah, like the video, share it to your friends if you want to tell them like what you are doing yesterday that took you so long. And I'll see you in the next one, hopefully for more gameplay of Shadowverse Wars Beyond. See ya!